Aha, it's begun.
Mr. Lawrence.
Hey,
And
Mike, how
Jill,
are you?
Hello.
I'm
Hi, how
good.
are
How are you
you?
guys today?
Good, good,
Good.
good.
Good. Well, let's jump into it. I wanted to ask kind of a light one first. Mr. Lawrence,
Yeah.
you were co-writer of this film.
Yes.
You've voiced this the short king of terror for a quarter century at this point.
Yeah.
I was curious, there had to have been something you wanted to do with the character that you haven't had an opportunity to do. Was there something specific you put in this movie that kind of checked that off the list?
I mean, we're lucky. We've been on for so long, and I'm always tasked with coming up with what's going to happen, what he's going to do next. Um, so so there isn't too many things that, it's like if I can think of it, we can usually do it. But in this case, the idea was one of the things was, wouldn't it be fun if Plankton all of a sudden had complete empathy and could feel emotions he usually either, pushes down or, just is sort of not familiar with. So, and anytime you to take a character who is one way and you get to flip them is always super funny, I think.
Yeah.
So that was the fun part for this, for sure.
Absolutely. Jill, you had just kind of mentioned your family, and this film is very much about the support that Plankton is finally kind of throwing Karen's way and letting her
Right.
know how much he appreciates her and everything like that. You've obviously got your work husband right here on the Zoom call, but of course, not the only husband you have at
That's
work.
right.
That's
So
right.
I'm very curious how these two gentlemen, your family, how much have they meant to you in the past 25 years in terms of support?
Um, well, great question. I'm gonna tell you the little bit of a tidbit here that Mr. Lawrence is the only cast member that was at my actual wedding
Okay.
in 1996 because we knew each other from Rocco's Modern Life days,
That's right.
and
Aside from
so we
Tom,
were
of
friends.
course, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was at the wedding.
Yeah, Tom was there too.
Tom was there. But it's so funny. My real life husband, my TV husband. But yeah, I mean, Tom voice directed this movie and was able to be very supportive of me, especially as I was trying to do things I'd never done before, like sing in a movie. That was really intimidating and scary. And Doug was also really supportive and was there in the at the studio when I was recording it because I was a nervous wreck. So, yeah, I got a lot of support from my TV husband, my real life husband. Our cast and crew are always supportive of each other. We all get along
Yeah.
really well, so that's nice.
Yeah.
But yeah,
love it.
Karen finally gets to have him follow her instructions, which is great.
That's right. Yeah. Well, Doug, you studied to become a comic artist, which I found fascinating. And I love that when I was doing the research, I had no idea that you did one of Weird Al's album covers as
I
well.
did, yeah. Yeah, we were buddies. I'm still buddies with him, but at that time we were working on some projects together. And yeah, it was the food album and it was a compilation album. And he didn't want to, he says he doesn't want to do a compilation album, but he's being forced to do it. And they said, could you, could you draw something? Can you do it? He says, because so then when I look at it, I'll go, oh, it's Doug's drawing, as opposed to I hate a compilation album. So, and I said, sure. And, in like a week, took a weekend to do it, I think. And yeah, that's the only album cover I ever did, the only real
We might have
illustration.
that album here.
Yeah,
We might have that in our
I
house.
think you do. Yeah, yeah.
I'm going
Yeah,
to
I've
look
got a
for
big poster of it somewhere.
it. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Uh,
amazing.
but yeah, that was a fun. That's what, drawing, being in animation. I've always been a cartoonist, so
Well, it was interesting because the one thing that I really loved about this film was the different styles. I studied animation as well, and the different little vignettes that we had in different styles of animation. Again, was that something you as a writer brought to the table, or was it something the team kind of had an idea of?
I think in this case, when you've got a movie and you have to decide what you're going to do with all the sequences and put it all together, it was one of the first things that came up when we got it in the room was, I think everyone instinctively was like, we're obviously going to do, we're going to have flashbacks. So instead of just doing a flashback, let's do a flashback that looks like something else because everybody knows these characters already. And I think doing it in CG ended up kind of solidifying the idea that, yeah, we're going to do something different with each flashback, as opposed to just doing like one style for all the flashbacks, which is I think we originally was thinking, and then it became like, no, let's make each one unique. Let's make it, make it fun and a surprise each time for everybody. So
And Jill, on the topic of variety, and we even talked about how Plankton, we see a different side of him in this film. We got to see several different versions or sides of Karen. Which one for you was the most fun to explore? And maybe which one came a little too naturally, if any of them did?
Well, probably the snarky one was the natural.
that's
Is
the
the
easy one.
natural one. Yeah, yeah. I think to this, the smart Karen. It was kind of funny because we were trying to, what do you do? For some reason we all want to do like a British person when we want to do a smart person or whatever, and then we were kind of going C3PO, like we were just throwing out different things, like what do we want it to sound like. So I think
Yeah.
that one was the most fun to come up with because it was the most difficult to come up with.
Yeah.
And I liked that challenge.
Well, perfect segue because I haven't had an opportunity to interview you guys yet. So, Doug, we'll start with you. But how did you come up with this voice 25 years ago? Because this
Oh yeah.
is a massive, iconic voice at this
Yeah,
point.
weird that it is. Well, it started as me. I have a friend this was in through grade school, who had a little squeaky voice, this guy. And he was always like, "Hey, how you doing? How you doing?" And then he hit puberty and he started talking like this. And I just thought, oh my God, it's so funny. And we did a couple of comedy shows. He didn't end up going into comedy, but we did some comedy shows and I made him do stuff just because his voice was so funny.
It's
And I
so
said, you
funny.
got to, I just told him what to say and said, here, do this. And we did that. And so I'd been imitating him for years in crowd wallas and stuff. And when we were on Rocco, that if I ever pulled that voice out, Tom would start laughing and really crying laughing because he would not. And I'd always throw it in somewhere when we were doing wallas. And
Yeah,
then I'd throw in this really deep voice and Tom would, and so it really did start with me making Tom laugh with that voice on Rocco.
that's so
And
funny.
then, yeah, and then when Steve said, "Hey, I'm thinking, want you to audition for these characters," he said, "There's Plankton. He's got a really deep voice, like the one that you'd use to, make Tom laugh." And I said, "Yeah, let me do that. Let me try that." So, just a chance
Steve
thing.
was
We
good
all
at
know
that
each
because he
other.
did that with Tom too. I think he had
Yeah,
heard Tom do kind of a SpongeBob voice
yeah.
and Walla, and Steve was always good at hearing those little, like,
Hearing
filing it
how,
away for later. Like, I like this. I like this
yeah,
voice.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I auditioned for SpongeBob too, but I auditioned with that voice, with the, with the Plankton voice, because at the time it was sort of like, yeah, let me try anything, let's see what
Right.
goes here, and we were laughing and having fun doing it, but Steve said to me, he goes, "Oh man, if I had any guts, I'd do that. That would be the voice of SpongeBob." He says, but he goes, "I really think that's Plankton." And I said, "Yep." I said, "No, you're right," and we let it go. And of course, that was the pilot. So I thought, well, this isn't going to go, So we're like, yeah, okay, well, yeah, we'll do it when it's the series, right.
Right.
So it just happened to work out. But even then, I had to audition several times to get the part. So not for Steve, but for the network.
And Jill, I mean, Karen's evolved over 25 years. She was kind of very
Karen,
stoic at the beginning, but I mean, I
yeah.
detect it's got to be a little Chicago in there. Am I
It's
wrong
Karen
or am
is
I right?
kind of a blend of my mother and Tom's mother. And Tom's mother was from upstate New York, and upstate New York and Chicago have very similar accents. So it's kind of a blend of both of them. Um, and I really got that role almost by accident because Karen Hillenberg was supposed to come in and do the voice of Karen. It's named after her. And she was going to do an impression of a Midwestern relative of hers. And
Yeah.
then she decided she didn't want to do it. And so Steve asked me to, I think, really be kind of a place filler till they found somebody. And he did say to me, when I went in to record, he said the voice should be kind of nasal. And the way he was describing the voice was very unpleasant. And he was kind of nasal, kind of like, and then he said, just use your own voice. And he was such a nice guy. He was not trying to insult me at all. It would not be in his nature. But when he said that, I looked at him and I went, what?
Yeah,
Just
thanks a
use
lot.
your own voice. And then he, we all had a good laugh about it.
Yeah.
So he wanted just a Midwestern, kind of thing. And I feel like Karen's evolved over the years too. Your voice sometimes, like, you lean into certain things more.
Yeah, mine too. If you hear the first few episodes
Yeah.
of Plankton, he sounds a little more. I feel like I'm forcing it in
Yeah.
some cases, and then
Yeah.
then it became not. I don't force it anymore. It's very natural. So it
Yeah.
was that evolved too. Yeah.
Yeah. I think sometimes the writers write words, pick the hard A words for me, the Chicago words.
Yeah, we do. That's true.
Well, okay, last question. Doug, I got to throw it to you because, again, all about supporting your partner and things like that. There's a lot of talk about the gal pals in this movie, right? Karen getting a girls' night out.
Yeah.
If Plankton, this newfound, respectful, empathetic Plankton, were to plan the perfect girls' night for Karen, what would it
Ah,
be?
Well, probably a night where he leaves her alone.
good answer. See, he's a married man. That's how
That's
he
right.
knows this. This
Let
is
her
how he
do what
knows
she
this
wants to
stuff.
do.
Yeah.
Right. And whatever it is, make sure you've taken care of it, that she gets to
Yeah.
do what she wants that night.
Right, right.
Yeah. But in a way, he's sort of resentful of the gal pals. And in a way, he's sort of resentful of anything
Yeah.
Karen does that's not
Yeah.
helping him do what he wants to do.
Yeah.
But I think that that's all, part because obviously he's Ray sometimes, and he
Yeah.
tries to be
Smooth.
cute and smooth with Karen too, and she responds to that. So there's great things in there, between the two of them. But I think that
Yeah.
it's always, you know,
Yeah.
they are
He's
married, so
yeah, he's sometimes like a kid that needs help with his homework, where Karen's just
that's
like,
right.
"Oh my God, help him." Um,
Exactly.
Well, this has been a fantastic marriage counseling session.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
thank you.
I think we understand each other better
I
now.
think we're gonna go the distance, another 25 years. Woo.
I love it. I love it. Well, best of luck with this film, guys, and thanks so much for your time.
Thanks, Mike.
Hey, Real students, thanks for watching. If you want to subscribe to Real School, click that round Real School logo right beside me. Also, click that damn notification bell so you're aware of all of Real School's new content. You can follow me on Twitter, and of course, if you get anything out of Real School, you can always give a little back. Just click the link in the description below or the button down there, and you can become part of my Patreon team.